No Man's Sky is a game that has come a long way since its original release in the summer of 2016. Update after update, sweeping new feature after feature, complete and utter overhaul, and new platform after new platform, Hello Games has forged a path across their procedurally generated galaxy of a sky. For their latest trick though, they've brought it to PlayStation VR 2. A straightforward task on the surface level, it might seem, but one that provides its own peculiar challenges for any developer porting their game to this new VR platform. No Man's Sky is still a game whose absolute vision of pure sci-fi exploration remains as alluring as it did upon its original reveal, with a seemingly infinite galaxy of star systems and worlds to visit, planets to land on, things to scan, shoot, aliens to trade with, and with an overarching story to unravel. It's also a game that, after so many updates since I last played in 2017, is a little bit intimidating to get back into. It probably wasn't the best idea to try and load up my original save file, and it took me far too long to realise that I was basically back to zero, with some changes made in the past 6 years making my previous multi-tool and ship unlocks completely obsolete. And it certainly wasn't a good idea to do this at the same time as playing the game in virtual reality for the first time, with completely new controls and interfaces to learn. So it wasn't until I begrudgingly gave in and started a brand new save file that I got the rundown of the game's workings in VR, systems new and old. Those initial moments drop you onto a planet that is trying to kill you, sending you on a mission to save your own life from the harsh elements, before finding and then repairing your first spacecraft, and it's a scenario that is as engaging as it is potentially bewildering to a new player. Scanning the environment, harvesting those raw materials, crafting things and installing upgrades form the fundamentals of this game, opening up as you then blast off into outer space and start to visit more planets, space stations, star systems, and pulling on certain narrative threads. Playing in VR really brings this game's sci-fi vision into a new perspective, a new focus for anyone doing so. There's something very special about trudging across that first planet, and that very first time that you get to hop into your fixed-up spacecraft and shoot straight up through the atmosphere. These are the kinds of moments in video games that can really stay with you. The VR controls generally work very well. With the Sense controller's analog sticks, you can use them for smooth locomotion, and you then have quick menus and inventories that you can call up from your left wrist. And it leans on the VR tropes of grabbing your multi-tool laser from your right shoulder and using your left hand to enter scanning modes by holding it next to your head. Every interaction to talk or pick something up is then done by simply reaching out using the grab buttons, that's R1, and pulling it towards you. As you piece together the way that the game itself works, the VR controls come together fluidly around them. I do wish though that there was some support for the analog sticks while flying. Controlling the ship's throttle and flight stick are done by grabbing them and moving or tilting your hands, which seems great but leads to some especially woolly relative movements, I find. Dogfighting isn't so bad thanks to being able to just hold the X button to auto-target any ships that you're in combat with, but I know that I'd much rather fly it with the greater precision that an analog stick gives you. Where this PSVR 2 update really falls down is with the visual fidelity. In a lot of ways this is a step up over what you can get on the last generation, with Hello Games able to tout higher quality textures, better terrain tessellation, increased planetary details and draw distances when it comes to loading in the scenery, and these do seem to be in effect. It is worth noting that for a game like this, of this size, pop-in will always be a factor as worlds are loaded in while moving and flying around quickly. However, it feels to me that Hello Games maybe struck the wrong balance here, because it is lacking then in terms of resolution and clarity when compared to other VR games. This isn't something that is easy to relay through the TV output recording that we have for this YouTube video. You should be able to see that there is some aliasing in quite a lot of areas, but this is something that really feels magnified when you're in PlayStation VR 2. Something you should also be able to note is the absence of foveated rendering, which is one of the key ways that PSVR 2 allows for improved performance and visuals. We'll turn to Gran Turismo 7 to illustrate this effect, where you can see here that I'm looking at the floating UI on the right hand side of the screen and then looking away. It goes in and out of high and low resolution modes. Performing a similar stationary test of this in No Man's Sky, there is none of this in effect. Hello Games has added AMD's FSR 2.0 upscaling technology for the game on PlayStation 5, and this does actually help the game to look pretty marvellous when you're playing on a TV screen. But without foveated rendering backing it up, it's just fuzzy and aliased and blurry on PlayStation VR 2. And this is a real shame because this one area has an almost outsized impact on how it feels to play the game, in my opinion. Yes, you can lose yourself in the galactic exploration and the tasks put before you, but every time that I loaded the game up and I put the headset on, whether that was completely fresh, coming from playing another VR game, or switching from TV to VR play, I was almost driven to distraction to start with by this resolution. If you can see past that factor though, then No Man's Sky comes highly recommended to experience in PlayStation VR 2. We just hope that Hello Games will continue to tweak and improve on its implementation in the future. So a little bit of a downer at the end there, but we hope that you've enjoyed what you've seen and found it informative. To round out the video, I'd like to ask you to do the usual YouTube things, liking, subscribing, clicking bell icons. You know the drill by this point, and so hopefully we will see you again soon. Goodbye!